I left my entire wedding behind because I thought he was my true love. I ran out in my white dress, my heart pounding, my hands shaking. I thought I was running toward my happiness, but when I reached him, he wasn't there. That moment completely destroyed me. If you have ever loved someone so much that you were willing to lose everything just to be with them, this story will break your heart. Stay with me till the end, because what happened next will stay with you forever. My name is Emily, and this is the story of the day I chose love over everything else, and the day love chose to disappear. It all began 3 years before that wedding day. I was 24 years old, working a small job at a bookstore in a quiet town. Life was simple. Life was calm. Until the day he walked in. His name was Daniel. He came in looking for an old poetry book, something his mother used to read to him as a child. I remember he had this soft, gentle smile, the kind that makes you feel safe without even knowing why. We started talking. Just small talk at first. About books, about music, about silly little things that didn't matter. But somehow, those conversations turned into hours. Hours turned into days. And days turned into something I never expected. Love. Daniel wasn't rich. He wasn't perfect. But he had this way of making me feel like the only person in the world. He would leave little notes inside the books I sold, sweet words that made my heart flutter. He would wait outside the bookstore every evening just to walk me home. Rain or shine, he was always there. I remember one night, we sat on a rooftop staring at the stars. He held my hand and said, "Emily, I don't know what the future holds, but I know I want to spend it with you." I cried that night, not from sadness, but from pure happiness. For the first time in my life, I felt truly loved. We built a beautiful world together. Small moments, big dreams. He would cook terrible pasta and call it a 5-star meal. I would laugh so hard my stomach hurt. We planned trips we couldn't afford, just to dream together. We talked about growing old, about a small house with a garden, about a life filled with laughter. Daniel used to say, "Emily, no matter what happens, I will always find my way back to you." I believed him with my whole heart. Because when you love someone that deeply, you believe every word they say. But life, as it often does, had other plans. Daniel's father fell seriously ill, and he had to move to another city to take care of him. It was sudden. It was painful. We promised each other it was temporary. We promised to call every day. We promised distance wouldn't change us. For the first few months, it didn't. He called every night. He sent letters, actual handwritten letters, because he said text didn't feel personal enough. I kept every single one of them in a small wooden box under my bed. But slowly the calls became shorter. The letters became less frequent. I told myself it was just because he was busy, taking care of his father, dealing with hospital bills and family pressure. I didn't blame him. I just missed him. Meanwhile, back home, my family had their own plans for me. They introduced me to a man named Ryan. Ryan came from a respected family, kind, stable, and everything a parent could want for their daughter. At first, I refused. My heart still belonged to Daniel. But months passed, and Daniel's calls became rare. Sometimes weeks would go by with no response. I started doubting. I started hurting. My family kept pushing, saying, "Emily, you deserve stability. You deserve someone who is present, not someone who left you waiting." Their words echoed in my mind every single night. Eventually, worn out from heartbreak and loneliness, I gave in. I agreed to marry Ryan. Not because I stopped loving Daniel, but because I was tired of loving someone who felt so far away. The wedding preparations began. Everyone around me was happy. My mother crying tears of joy, my father proudly greeting guests, my friends decorating the hall with flowers and lights. But inside, I felt empty. Every time I looked at my wedding dress, I saw Daniel's face instead of Ryan's. Every time someone congratulated me, my heart whispered his name. 3 days before the wedding, everything changed. I received a letter. An old, worn envelope, delivered late because it had been lost in the mail for weeks. It was from Daniel. In his letter, he wrote about how much he missed me, how his father had passed away, how difficult these past months had been, and how he was finally free to come back to me. He wrote, "Emily, if you still love me, meet me at the old train station on the day of the sunset, on your wedding day. I will be there, waiting for you, hoping you choose us." My hands trembled as I read those words. My heart shattered and healed at the same time. For days, I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to stay loyal to the commitment I had made to Ryan. Part of me couldn't stop thinking about Daniel's promise. The night before the wedding, I barely slept. I kept staring at that letter, reading it over and over again. On the morning of the wedding, I got dressed in my white gown. My family surrounded me with joy and excitement. Guests arrived. Music played. Everything looked perfect on the outside, but inside, I was breaking apart. As the ceremony began, I stood there, listening to the priest's words, feeling the weight of the decision crushing my chest. And then, right before the final vows, I made a decision that would change my life forever. I ran. I ran out of the wedding hall in my white dress, ignoring the shocked gasps behind me, ignoring my mother's cries, ignoring everything except the beating of my own heart. I ran through the streets, tears streaming down my face, my heels in my hands, my dress dragging on the pavement. I ran toward the train station, toward the promise Daniel made, toward the love I never stopped believing in. When I arrived, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. I looked around, breathless, desperate, searching for his face in the crowd. But he wasn't there. I waited. Minutes passed. Then an hour. The sky turned dark. The station grew quiet. And Daniel never came. I stood there alone, in my wedding dress, makeup smudged with tears, heart completely shattered. I had left everything, my family, my fiancé, my future, for a promise that was never kept. Just as I was about to break down completely, an old station worker approached me. He looked at me with sad, gentle eyes and said, "Miss, are you looking for a young man named Daniel?" My heart stopped. I nodded, unable to speak. He said, "He was here earlier today. He waited for hours, but then he received a phone call, and he left in a hurry, looking very upset. He said something about an emergency, about his mother being rushed to the hospital." My whole body went numb. I didn't know whether to feel relief or heartbreak. Relief that he didn't abandon me by choice. Heartbreak because fate seemed determined to keep us apart. I tried calling him. No answer. I tried again and again. Nothing. I sat on that cold bench at the train station, all alone, watching the last train leave without me, feeling like I had lost everything, my family's trust, Ryan's heart, and now, possibly Daniel too. Days turned into weeks. I never went back to Ryan. Even though he had every right to hate me, he simply said, "Emily, I hope you find the happiness you're searching for." I could never marry someone whose heart belonged to another. His kindness broke me even more. My family was furious at first, but over time, they saw how much pain I was in, and slowly, painfully, they forgave me. As for Daniel, I searched for him for months. I went to his old address. I called every number I could find. Nothing. It was as if he had vanished completely. Then, almost a year later, I received a letter. This time, it wasn't from Daniel. It was from his sister. She wrote to tell me that after his mother passed away, just weeks after his father, Daniel had fallen into deep depression. He had left the city, trying to escape his grief, trying to find a way to heal. She said he often spoke about me, about the train station, about how sorry he was that he couldn't reach me in time. She wrote, "Emily, my brother loved you more than anything. But grief broke him in ways I never expected. Wherever he is now, I know his heart is still with you. I never saw Daniel again. Some say he moved far away to start a new life. Some say he simply couldn't face the pain of that missed moment at the station. I don't know the full truth, and maybe I never will. But I learned something from this heartbreak that changed me forever. Love isn't always about grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes, love is about two people who care for each other deeply, but life pulls them in different directions. I lost my wedding. I lost Ryan's trust. I lost Daniel. But somewhere along that painful journey, I found myself. I found strength I never knew I had. Today, years later, I still think about that sunset at the train station. I still wonder what would have happened if he had arrived just a few minutes earlier. I still wonder what would have happened if I had never run at all. But I've learned to make peace with the unknown. Because sometimes, the most painful chapters of our lives teach us the most beautiful lessons. If you are listening to this story right now, and your heart aches for love, or for someone you lost, please know this. You are not alone. Heartbreak doesn't mean the end of your story. It simply means a new chapter is about to begin. Wherever Daniel is today, I hope he found peace. And wherever you are, watching this story, I hope you find the love and happiness you truly deserve. This is the story of the day I left my entire wedding behind, chasing a promise that broke my heart, but somehow made me stronger than I ever imagined. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, comment below, and tell me how you felt, and subscribe for more emotional stories like this one. And if you have your own heartbreak story, share it with us in the comments. Someone out there might need to hear it today. Thank you for watching, and remember, even broken hearts can learn to love again.